Hello everyone, welcome back to Angela's Craft Room. In my previous tutorial I did show you how to use the new Stampin Up brayer, and we created this background, and I said that I would come back to show you how I used this background on a card. So this is what I came up with using the Lovely as a Tree stamp set. I've used the lovely big thick tree up here from that stamp set, and I've also used the Sentiment Birthday Greetings, which comes from the Wetlands stamp set. Okay, so you know that's the two stamp sets I've used. So I'll just zoom in a little bit for you so you can see. This is the background that we used, and you can see the little pink pirouette colour has come through the tree. So using that background technique that I use, it's very effective, and it gives you a really smooth finished look in your card on the background rather than just a white background. So I'm just going to show you how I put this card together. You might like to try it, so I'll just go out a little bit. Okay, so also then I just went and I just stamped on a piece of crumb cake the tree to finish off inside the card, ready to write inside it. Okay, so we'll bring back a piece that I did, an extra piece, and if you don't like the look you can always use the other side, which is what happened to me. I wasn't happy with that the first try I did, because I felt there was just too much green and the pink pirouette wasn't blending as I liked it to. And that was mainly because my pink pirouette stamp set was too inky for this method, which I did explain before, that you know your stamp pads are best not to have be too inky when you're doing this, and then by that you will get a really nice smooth finish. So to start with, I'll just turn it round. So I've got Pool Party at the top, and then I've got the pink pirouette happening here, and then I've got the Pear Pizzazz at the bottom. So we're going to stamp, we're going to get the chocolate chip, and we're going to stamp our tree. So I've got it already on a block, so it's the nice big thick tree, and because it's got such good impressions on this stamp, I'm taking the stamp pad to the actual stamp, so I ensure that I get all the ink into all those into all those crevices. And then I'm just going to stamp on the sponge on the piece that we've made the background with the brayer. I keep saying sponge, but it's not sponge, it's we use the brayer. So I'm just going to go up there a little bit. And just try and apply a really good pressure without rocking, and you'll get a really good image. Okay, then what I did was I got another piece of crumb cake and I stamped it I stamped the tree onto a piece of crumb cake, and then I just trimmed it down so it was just a nice square. And then we're just going to pop that about there. But what I did was I just added 4 dimensionals on the back, just so it pops up. You don't want it the same level as the might just put a couple extra. You don't want it on the same level as where you've stamped. And also, if you wanted to, what you could do is just stamp that tree if you wanted just a simple card, and then you could just put your sentiment across the top here and just stick that to your card and your card's done. But we're just going to step it up a little bit. So we'll just remove those. Just tap them in the middle. And then I'm going to add a little bit of burlap ribbon. Now, normally I don't put any adhesive under my burlap ribbon because, or under any of my ribbons or lace when I have them on the front of the card, because I find they show a bit of bulkiness. But I'll just show you how I do it. So I'm just lining that up on my grid paper as well, so I know that it's straight. So I'm going to put that right over on the edge. Try and get it as straight as possible. So that's how easy that part is. Okay, so with the burlap ribbon, I've cut a piece that's going to go, I'll just close my chocolate chip ink pad so I don't get ink on myself. So then I'm just going to add the burlap ribbon on this side. Now I have gone ahead and put a little bit of tear and tape just on one end, so just a very little bit on that end. And then what you do, or what I do, is I just push it underneath this square piece, and you'll see that I don't have tear and tape under or here. I just wrap it round, and then I have some tear and tape on the back. Now I normally wouldn't, I'll let you know I made a mistake, because normally I wouldn't have this much tear and tape on, but what I did was I put tear and tape on the wrong side, didn't I? So I needed to put it on both sides. So just make sure it's sitting where you want it, and then just wrap it round and let it and then we're just going to trim that off like so. And then you've got your burlap ribbon there. Then I'll just set that aside for a minute. Then what I did was I just used a piece of crumb cake cardstock and stamped that birthday greetings. And then what I'm going to do, I took a piece of scrap chocolate chip, I think that is, and no, sorry, it's early espresso, and then I adhered that to that and then stuck it on the card. But I thought for a bit of added dimension, what you could also do if you wanted to, you can just add a couple of dimensionals. You don't have to, you can just use your snail and put it straight on this piece. Then I'll just centre that as well as I can. And then you've got, just pops it up a little bit. Then you just need to decide where you're going to have that before you go. Actually, what we'll do is we'll put it on the card first. So what you need, what I've used here for my base card is crumb cake, and it's 8.5 inches by 5.5 inches, and I've scored that one at 4.25 inches. Okay, and I haven't even used the bone folder on it yet. And then I've got another piece of crumb cake that's 4 inches by 5.25 inches, and I've just stamped the tree on there, and I'm just going to pop that. I did do it, it's up to you which way you want it. I did have it a full stamp or stamping off the page a bit. I've decided to go with the one that's off the page a bit, and then this just goes inside your card. Just open it back up. Just centre that, just eyeballing it, so just making sure it's straight. Then just press that down, and you've got the inside of your card all done, ready. So why I did that was because then with this one we're just going to pop that on there. On my previous card, I did have a piece of early espresso cut as well to go underneath it, but with this one, you can just have it like that. You don't have to have, so I'll just put a little bit of tear and tape over that burlap, because it's a very thick and coarse. It's not really a ribbon, even though it's called a ribbon, but it's very thick and coarse. So for it to stick on your card, you need to use the tear and tape on this one. Just over that, you can use the snail on the other pieces, and you just press it down. It's just a bit of a challenge. I know it's going to come up for me nicely. Just got to get it to just trying to lift it. Bit of a challenge sometimes. It's just because it's on that burlap. And then for the rest of the card, I just add the snail. But you can see how you can make this a simple card, or you can dress it up by adding these extra elements to your card. It's entirely up to you. And then I'm just going to I do like the dressed up version myself, but if you were going to do a lot of them, you know, you could quite easily make a few of them. So that's straight on without using another layer like I did the early espresso underneath. It just depends which version you like. And then just bring in your sentiment and just think where you would like it. I think about there. So I'm just going to add a bit of snail. I do like using the new brayer. It does give you a very smooth finish if you do use it lightly, like I showed you in the previous tutorial. I'm just making sure this is straight. Okay, so just press that down. So even without the underneath, the early espresso underneath, I think that just shows nicely. So then, just going through the measurements, the base of the card is 8.5 inches by 5.5 inches, and then I've scored it at 4.25 inches. And then if you wanted to put a next layer on it, like the early espresso on this card, that is 4 inches by 5.25 inches. 4 inches by 5.25 inches, and that's the same for the inside piece inside your card. And then the Whisper White piece that we sponged on earlier, that's 4.5 inches by 3.5 inches. So I put buttons on the other one, so I have these new ones, these new embellishments, and I thought I might just pop those on there. Now these new embellishments are available from January 2017 from Stampin Up, and they're sending love embellishments, and you do get quite a few in there. There's hearts and there's little flowers, so that's one to keep in mind. On my original card I used the Classy Designer buttons, so that's those ones. And then of course I used the burlap ribbon, which with the burlap ribbon you get about 5 yards, so about 5 meters for those in Australia, or you get like 5 yards on there, so you get quite a bit. And then just remembering I used Lovely as a Tree stamp set and the Wetlands stamp set for the sentiment. So just to glue those last elements on the card, I need to use the fine tip glue pen, and we just need to jot it round. I wasn't sure how it would go sticking to the burlap ribbon. It sticks perfectly to the cardstock, but I didn't think with the burlap ribbon it is a harder one to might have to resort to just putting some buttons on there. So just pop that away. So that's the one that's finished there. So you've got that option, but you can just stamp your tree and your sentiment on your sponge, on your piece that we've used the brayer on to make our background. And on the original one I used early espresso as well. So it depends whether you like, I like both of them, but it's up to you whether you want to have that extra early espresso panel or whether you just want to put it directly onto your card without the early espresso. I think both look nice. I made this one, this in sentiment, a bit bigger, but this one looks really good, popped up on dimensionals as well. And then just adding your burlap and your embellishments on top of your burlap ribbon. So it's a very simple card to make. So I hope that, let's get all my rubbish out the way. So I just hope that that will help you to know how to use the brayer and how easy it is to stamp on top of the background using the brayer. So I hope that helps you use Lovely as a Tree and the Wetlands stamp set. I absolutely love the stamp set Lovely as a Tree. So, but that is a new one that I've done for you today. I've done a lot of cards using Lovely as a Tree, and it is a good stamp set for Christmas as well, because all you need to do is add a little bit of Winker Stella to the trees and you have your Christmas cards. So I hope that you'll give that technique a try, and until next time, I look forward to seeing you.